Hi there, my name is Kevin, and today we're looking at what GitHub is and how to use the GitHub Desktop application. So GitHub itself works with Git. In the last video I did, we looked at what Git is, so if you missed that video, it might be worth checking out. So while Git is really awesome, GitHub gives us a place online to store all the stuff we're doing. It's not just local storage anymore. It's now somewhere that we can share our files with everyone, we can work on teams, and all sorts of really awesome stuff. Another really cool thing with Git is it allows us to fork a project. So if it's a really big project such as Bootstrap that is publicly, you can get onto their GitHub page, you can go and check it out. If you want to make a change to it, you can't make a direct change to it with a branch like we saw with the previous video, because then all sorts of people will be making all these branches and doing who knows what with it. So they do use branches in their project, but it's a little bit different how it works, because what you want to do is make a fork of the project. You're copying their project onto your own account. And then what happens is you can do whatever changes you want, and then take those changes and request that they get pulled into the actual project. There can be a review, we can leave comments back and forth, discuss the changes that you're trying to make, fix anything that you might have to, and then eventually, maybe one day, they'll actually get pulled into the final project, which is really cool. So in this video, we're going to be exploring the basics of how the desktop application works, how you can make your own projects in there, and how you can fork something like Bootstrap into your own account, make changes to that, and push those changes towards them, or put in a pull request, and all of that. So let's jump right into it. Okay guys, so the very first thing you're going to have to do to use the GitHub Desktop app is make a GitHub account. So you'd come in here, sign up, just put it all in here, sign up. I already have an account, so I'm not going to go through those steps. But once you've signed up for it, you're going to want to go to desktop.github.com. And that's where you can download GitHub from. It should auto-detect whether you're on Mac or Windows, but you click the big button here. And if it, for whatever reason, gets the wrong one, there's the links here for whichever system you do need it on. So once you have your GitHub account, you'll log in, you'll see a screen that looks a little bit like this, except you won't have any repositories, but it probably looks something like this. But for the moment, let's worry about GitHub itself, or not GitHub itself, but the GitHub Desktop application. So when you open it up, you'll probably see this no repository selected. Mine's probably going to go over and select one. No? Usually it does. So you'll probably get this side will be empty, but we'll be adding in a repository in 1 second. Now really quickly, you can add in repositories here. You can add one that already exists on your computer. You can create one here if you don't already have one, or you can clone a repository from the internet onto your computer. So if it's already on your account, you can clone it into here. Now, you can create one this way, but for me, the easier way to create one is actually to take an existing file. So let's minimize that so we can see my desktop. And I've made this folder here, GitHub Beginners, and it just has a blank index basic template folder right here for now that we're going to use. And if you have something like that, all you need to do is take it and drag it right in there and drop to create repository. So think of a repository as just a folder either on your desktop or what will end up online. That's pretty much what a repository is. When you drag it in, it's going to ask you for the name, and it's going to take your folder's name. It's going to just put the local path automatically, and there's this git ignore here, none, or you can add in any programs you might be using. So I am on a Windows computer. I'll just select Windows for now. Really quickly, if your folder has a space instead of a hyphen, it can have it, but it's going to tell you it's going to create it with the hyphen anyway. Doesn't allow for spaces in the name, so any spaces will automatically become hyphens. And I'm going to click Create Repository with my git ignore already in there. If you do none, I'd suggest going back later and putting in a git ignore. They're super useful to have. It just stops any hidden files or things. Windows, I don't think you'll end up with any Windows file on there. If you're on a Mac, I strongly encourage putting the OS X in there, because OS X ends up with a number of hidden files. So let's just choose Windows. I'm going to create my repository. Now you'll notice right away, okay, there's a few things that just happened really, really fast. First of all, let's look over here on GitHub. I have 2 repositories already. I have for my responsive website tutorials that I've done. This is listed under other, and that's because it's on my computer. It's not actually on GitHub right now, and I didn't get it from GitHub. It's all coming from my computer, so it's just listing it under other right now. You'll also see when we made that, it sort of went kind of crazy, and this all popped up, and you'll see there's a few different things going on here. So when we made the folder, GitHub's desktop application added a Git attributes and the Git ignore files by itself. And we can click here and see what they are. So the Git attributes, it auto detects text files and performs normalization and blah, 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 a little description there. And Git ignore, this is the Git ignore file that we had it create. And it's actually ignoring some OS X system files in here too, which would be convenient if you're working with, some people might be on Windows, other people might be on OS X on your team, and the thumbnails and all of that. So it's ignoring all the Windows and or OS X operating system files right now, which is perfect. I can also click here, and it's showing these are the files that I had in this folder to begin with. So not those two, but it's all those other ones. It's the 4 files, and they're not actually committed to anything right now. They're here, and it's saying that this little plus sign means they've been added, but I would need to push these into the master. So let's just do basic template files, and I'll commit that right now, commit to master. So now there's no local changes. So if I click here, there's the git ignore and git attributes files that were created. I can click here, and I can see my basic template files were created, and then I can go to the current live version where there's no local changes. I can open this in Explorer, which just means it's going to open it like that, which is cool. I can also click this to open it in Atom. Atom is created by the people who make GitHub, so they've linked it together. If you don't use Atom as your code editor, there's no problem whatsoever. You can use any code editor you want. There is some integration that we'll see in a second with Atom and with GitHub, but not terribly important at the moment. But what is important is how do we actually get this online? And it's really simple. There's this nice little publish button that they give us. So I'm going to click on publish. It's going to ask me for a description, but I don't have to give one. I just need to have a name, and it's going to keep the name that we already have. Description is completely up to you. I have had times where nothing was selected here. I just saw this little down arrow with no name, and it wasn't letting me publish. Just if you see that little arrow with no name, click on the arrow and select your name. Hopefully you don't run into that problem. And it's just because it has to be on a public account. We can't make a private repository right now because you have to have a paid account if you want to have a private repository. And I'll click publish to GitHub beginners. Oh, and then I'm just going to hit publish once again because I just sort of set it all up, and now I'll click. There we go. I wanted to see that little syncing thing going. It takes a little while to sync. For me, it does anyway. So we'll give that a second. You can see the progress bar at the top. And that's it. It's synced. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this. I'm going to refresh. And I should see that repository. There it is, GitHub Beginners. And I'm going to click in there. And I can see the project in here. So I can see all the things. This was with the basic template file. So that's the comment that I put when I published that. This was the comment that it was added automatically when it made these 2 files for me. You can see there's one branch. There's only my master branch. There's only one contributor, so I'm the only contributor. And there's been 2 commits, the basic template files and the added git attributes, git ignore files. If I go to 2 commits, we can see the list of them and who they were by. And we'll go back to the code. So let's go back to here. Cool. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to make a branch. I want to make some changes to my project. So I'm going to create a branch right here. So I just click on that, new branch name, add text, add intro text. It's basically just the basic description of what you're going to be doing. Whoops, and it's going to do it with the hyphens for me. So I'm going to create the new branch for that, or we can just call it add text actually. Add text, create new branch. And you can see here, you can see that it's visualizing that we're on a branch now. So it's branched off like that. Now I'm going to click on my little Atom thing here because I want to edit this in Atom. So there we go. Atom has opened up. We'll position that just so you can see the whole window. And one of some of the cool things, we can see all my project files here, but we can actually see that I'm on the add text branch. So that's really cool. It knows where I am because I'm using Atom, which is integrated into the whole GitHub experience. And we're going to see some other things as well as we work. So let's actually open this up in the browser as well. And we'll shrink that down so we can see what I'm doing. We don't need this anymore. So there's nothing in there. My index is currently blank. So let's go over to my index. And let's come in here and add my text. H1, hello world, close H1. And I'll save that. And I'll refresh over here and we should see my hello world is not appearing. I'm just going to see how this is in orange. What's happening here with the orange is it's showing that this is a change that's happened. I can even come down here and look, it's in orange. One line has been added to this file that is not yet committed. But I'm just going to do show and explore. And I'm going to open it again. It's working. GitHub beginners. Okay, anyway, it's working nicely now. Hello world. And just to make sure that it is working, hello. Yeah, so we're working fine. So let's get rid of this. Desktop, yeah, okay, that's weird. Save that again, refresh over here. So we're at our hello world. Let's say we're happy with that. That was good, everything went well. We can go back to our GitHub application here, and it's going to say that there's been one change. And I can say H1 text added. Or let's just do title. Title, text, title added. And I'm going to do commit to add text. Now maybe I add in a paragraph of text here as well. So paragraph, goodbye. Goodbye world. Close paragraph. Save that. Go back to here. Another change. Goodbye world. I can commit to add text. No more changes. And I can see the whole timeline progressing here. So my master branch was there and I'm in my add text branch. And then maybe I go in, actually, here's another good point. If I click on them, I can see what's changed. So here I've plus, so it's added a line of code and there's the code that's been added. I can come to this one. I deleted an empty line that was there and I added a new line that was hello world with the paragraph. And I might go, you know what? That's kind of depressing. I don't actually want to add that. I'm going to do revert. And that's going to create a new commit that reverts the changes in this commit. So I can hit revert. It's going to keep track of the fact that this was added, but it adds a new one where it then gets removed. So it's not deleting the fact that this ever happened. It's keeping track that that happened, but it's deleting it and it's moving me on to a new line. And then this is my current one where everything is good. Now let's say that I'm happy with this. This is what I want my site to look like. I'm really, everything looks good. Well, first, actually, let's publish this just so it is, we can find it on our thing up here. So I'm just waiting for this to load. And just as a bit of a warning, sometimes for me the syncing is slow. There we go. It has gone through. I'm going to hit refresh here. And we can see that add text was added. And I can compare if I want to. And I can see here there's two branches. So I can go up there. I can see that there's been changes made to, well, it's my branch. It's active. And if I click on add text, I can go and take a look at what the add text. So add text was updated 1 minute ago. And there's been 5 commits to it. And just for fun, we can go back to my master. My master's only been updated 9 minutes ago. So the master's the real one. Nothing has changed on that one yet. But if I look at my add text was just recently updated. Now, if I'm happy with this, these changes are exactly what I want. Everything here I'm happy with. I can do a pull request. So what this means is I want to pull this branch back into my master. So I'm going to hit pull request, add text. I can this is the name of add text to master. The description, you can give a description with more detail in here if you want, and I can send my pull request in. And then I can click here to view it on GitHub, or I can just come over here and refresh everything. So I'll go to my GitHub beginners. It says that I have a pull request, so I'll go look at that. It says add text to master. I can go and click in there. And I can see what was done. So no description provided, the title added, goodbye world, revert goodbye world, all the things that were done. We can go and look at all of them. It says there's no conflicts with this. So there's nothing conflicting with this version of the file with my current one. So we can merge the pull request. Now, one thing that's really important is I can't merge the pull request here. You have to go to GitHub for it to get merged. The other thing is, generally speaking, it would be someone else who's doing the merge. It's not yourself, unless it's your own project, obviously. But usually you're working in a team and then you're getting it approved by someone else. They're going to look at the code. Maybe they don't like it. They can come in here and leave a comment saying, looks good, but I'd like to see these changes made. Hit the comment. You could make those changes and then put in a new pull request. But in this case, we're just going to do merge pull request. I can confirm the merge. And really important, the pull request has been successfully merged and closed. Do you want to delete the branch? Yes, in general, you want to delete the branch. It just keeps everything nice and tidy and all of that. So deleting the branch is important. And if you ever needed to, you can restore the branch too if you want to get it back for whatever reason. Now, if I go back to, that's all done. So now I can go back to here and we can see that this has been updated. It's saying 4 minutes ago because that's the last time that anything had been changed. But everything is up to date now. There's only one branch and everything is live and good to go. So the last thing you might want to do with GitHub is to fork a project off, make some changes to it, and try pushing those to see if they get taken. So I've opened up Bootstrap here on GitHub, and they have their own repository on here where you can make changes to it and all of that. But obviously, I'm not part of their team. And you can see, just to give you an idea of a big project, there's been almost 16,000 commits. There's 20 current branches, 41 releases, and almost 900 or 850 anyway contributors. Let's just jump over to the branches really quickly, and you can see they're working on version 4 now. So you'll see the active branches. There's issues, there's everything. We can go and look through a lot of that, but just for this video, all I want to do is I want to make a fork of this project. So I don't want to clone or download it, even though that's the big button that's on here right now. What I want to actually do is come up here to fork it. So I'm going to click on fork. And this might take a little while because it is a big project. It says a few seconds, but it might take a bit longer than that. And there we go. That didn't take very long. And I'm now in the fork. So this is on my account. It's in Kevin Powell /Bootstrap. So things that I do in here, they're not touching the original project at all. I can come in and make any changes I want in here. So I'm going to go over to GitHub. And now I'm in the desktop application. And I can come into here and I'm going to clone Bootstrap to my computer because I want this to be on my computer. It's going to ask me where do I want it. So I'm going to put it on my desktop and just click OK. Choose the folder that you want the folder to be inside of, because whatever folder you select, it's going to make a new folder inside that. So if you made like a Bootstrap folder on your desktop, it's going to make a Bootstrap folder inside your Bootstrap folder, if that makes sense. So I'm just choosing my desktop. I'll find it once this is done. It's going pretty fast. I'll show you where it is on my desktop. There you go. So I'm just going to right click on here and do open in Explorer just to show you desktop Bootstrap. And even where is it on my desktop? There it is. So we can see that it's made its own Bootstrap folder on my desktop with everything in there. So now I could open that up in Atom. And let's just go and look. So quickly, I'm just going to open up their git ignore just to show you what a proper git ignore might have. So it's ignoring Ruby files, it's ignoring the GHpages file, log files, zip files, all sorts of stuff, project files, idea files. That's all for OSN folders, Sublime, Workspace, lint files, all sorts of stuff. These are all things that it wants to ignore, some Jekyll, so things that shouldn't be brought up. Now in here, let's go look at distribution and CSS. And let's just go look at the grid for fun. And let's just make a change in here of body. I'm just going to save that. I'm not going to make any big changes in here. It's just to show you what type of thing it would do. So it's showing me the changes there. I have my change here. Example. I'm just doing this as a quick thing. I'm going to commit that. And here we go. We have just made my little change right at the end. Now I'm going to sync that, and it's going to sync it over to my account. And remember, none of these changes are actually going over to the Bootstrap dev. I would never push something silly like that over to their code. And don't push random stuff like this. You know, if you're going to be making a contribution to something, make sure it's a worthwhile contribution. So that is done. We'll open this back up. Let's go and take a look at here. So I did the latest commit 1 minute ago. And you can see here now, this branch is one commit ahead of the TWBS version 4 dev. So I'm one commit ahead of where theirs is. And I can compare mine to theirs. And I can put in a pull request. So I'm going to click on that, but I'm not actually going to go through with this because I don't want to do it. But it's able to merge. There's no issue with it. So there's the base one. There's my fork. I can compare them together and I can take a look. So the big difference here is I've added this in pretty much. There's the big difference that happened. I've added a whole bunch of lines of code. And if I wanted to, I could discuss and review the changes in this comparison with others. So I'd create my pull request. It would go over to them. They could leave comments, tell me what they think of those changes. And if they like them, they could even pull them in, or they could tell me, you know what, not bad, make these changes to it, or just, what are you doing? You know, if I actually submitted this, it would just get ignored and they would delete it. And yeah, nothing would really happen. So just to show you how the fork would work, you come in, you make your fork, and then you put in a pull request, and that's going to go back to the original person. So if you do want to do this to one of my own repositories, you saw something in one of the sites that I did that you want to make a change to, by all means go for it, or in my future videos when I'm making them. As I go along, if you're following along with my series, by all means you can follow along in my GitHub, which will be a few days ahead of the videos, so you get a bit of a sneak peek that way. And throughout the whole process, if there's anything you want to do, by all means you can fork it off and make pull requests at any time. Now, I'm just as a very quick thing here, I'm going to go back to my own repository, come over to Kevin Powell, repositories, and I don't actually want to put this in, right? Like that would be silly to keep this. I'm not planning on working on the Bootstrap. So if ever you do want to delete something you do have on here, you want to go to it. So I'm going to come into here. And it's over in the settings. So I'm going to click on settings. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the danger zone. And there's the make private, which it's not going to let me do. Plus it's a public fork. I can transfer ownership. So if this was a big project that I didn't want to be involved with anymore, I could transfer ownership over to somebody else, or I can delete the repository from my account, which I'm going to do right now. I just have to write the name of it. Is it just GitHub? Bootstrap. GitHub. Bootstrap. And now I can delete this. It's just saying, be really careful. It's permanent. There's no backsies on this one. It's gone once it's gone. So delete that because I don't want it in my account anymore. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know in the comments below. And if I didn't cover anything or you're still confused by something, don't be shy. Go to the comments down below and let me know about it. Another thing is I am now starting to post a bit more frequently on Twitter and on Instagram. So you can find the links to those down below in the description all the way at the bottom. If you want a bit of a behind the scenes to see videos before they're coming out, I show little sneak peeks of the stuff that I am working on. Also, please consider subscribing. It is a new video like this every single week, so if you liked it, think about hitting that subscribe button so you get more content just like this delivered to your subscriptions feed every Wednesday. Thanks once again for watching, and have yourselves a great day.